Hey, good morning. How are you doing today?
Hey, good morning. We're well, thanks. How are you?
Doing very well. I got to tell you, this show is in harmony with what's really going on in our community. And Doctor, I'm so proud of you being there. And the reason why is because when you go through transitions like this, it really does get in there and affect the human need and courage to be themselves. Because now you have two different forms of codependency on you.
I know that's right. It is funny, the I think anything that happens in a couple dynamic certainly is open fair game for a throuple dynamic. Ain't that right?
That's right. That is absolutely right. And it's not the codependency that we look at and we're like, oh, this is the unhealthy codependency. Codependency can also be healthy, and that is what we're doing in Couple to Throuple is we're challenging these polycurious couples, as we call them, to figure out if their monogamous values are suited for non-monogamy so that they don't bring that the unhealthy codependency around.
And the challenges of the real world, because I mean, you could have two against one, one against two. I mean, what are the rules here, and do you have to really kind of rewrite the ground rules?
Oh, that is good. Those are great questions. So here's the thing in polyamory and non-monogamous structures where people get to define their own relationships. And that is the great part about it. It's creating your own relationship. However, in doing so, the people who are involved in various relationship dynamics, they set agreements versus rules because rules are very restrictive and they're basically set where one person or more people don't have agency or say so. The agreements are more mutually constructed commitments or ideas or expectations that are placed where everybody has an input, everybody says what they're going to do, and the boundaries are understood and there is an agreement to honor these boundaries. So yeah, there are actually agreements in polyamorous structures.
Now, Scott, agreements mean we have to have a face-to-face talk. You can't be sitting there just text messaging your friend over there on the sofa. You've got to physically have that talk.
You are not wrong about it. I'm going to tell you what, if you mean to have a successful anything with another person, you're going to have a few talks. You know what I'm saying? And I think that, one of the really beautiful things about this experience, and I think for sure one of the reasons why I felt so strongly about the experience was we were going to have an expert like Dr. Shamyra. Do you know what I mean? She is someone who knows what she is doing. She has years of experience working with polycules, different makeups, different configurations of polyamory are referred to as polycules. And so, it was an experience. I thought that if there was ever going to be a scenario where someone would be set up for some level of success, then you can't be mad at a tropical destination. You can't be mad at 16 eligible, beautiful individuals to choose from and to get to know and to dive deeper into your curiosity with this dynamic. And you certainly can't go wrong with the robust and grounded support that is Dr. Shamyra. For me, it was a win-win-win-win-win. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now, Doctor, one of the things that I've learned about shows like this is that these are door openers. In other words, Will and Grace brought a lot of people out. I think a show like this is going to bring a lot of people out as well.
Well, you're right. They're going to be able to use their mouth and talk about it. And what we're hoping this show does for people is that it exposes something or challenges them in their own relationship to have conversations about what's happening in their relationship, to have conversations about their desires, even if their desires aren't polyamory or being a throuple or bringing in a third party, to just have those conversations about what you've not been talking about. But also, and most importantly, to understand that non-monogamy and polyamorous relationships are thriving relationships. They're real. People don't just get into them because someone has cheated or there's an excuse to cheat, but people are genuinely exploring, loving, and thriving in polyamorous relationships.
Now, Scott, how do you deal with jealousy? Because that's a silent killer.
You said it's a silent killer?
I do believe jealousy is, yeah, because if you're jealous, oh my God, there goes the relationship.
I'm gonna tell you right now, I don't know about jealousy being all that silent. You know what I mean? Or necessarily, or necessarily being directly the killer. I think that there's, you center insecurity. I think you center lack of communication. I think you center fear. Just right in front of and behind jealousy. I think that jealousy is a natural part of any relationship. I think it's a natural part of any human experience. I think that we sometimes put too much pressure on ourselves trying to live life in some golden standard. I think that we would be better served by recognizing that jealousy is just a part of it. And what we do with that jealousy, how we use that jealousy, what we allow that jealousy to become, I think is the greater concern. You know what I mean? We had one of our relationship sessions while we were down in Panama centered around jealousy and about getting to the core of the thing and dealing with the thing face on. It's a natural part of all of this that we have going on, regardless of whether you're involved with one person, whether you're involved with 2 other people, or whether you're not involved with nobody and you just on Instagram. You know what I'm saying? So, it is certainly, I think, something that you got to deal with in order to be successful in relationships. And this one was no different. That is for sure.
Doctor, this has got to be like a petri dish for you, because everything that you have studied is right there in front of you. It's real people, real situations for you.
Absolutely. And so this is what I do every day on the Green Couch. I've been working with non-monogamous and polyamorous couples for several years. This experience has been great because what we're working with here we're working with couples who many have not had any experience in non-monogamy or polyamory, and they are going through the motions on this show, right? And so my role on this show was to help bridge the educational and emotional gap between monogamy and non-monogamy, specifically polyamory. So just like I do in my practice, I help couples to acknowledge and clarify their values, set boundaries. I help them to figure out if chemistry was even real, if what they were feeling was even chemistry, and specifically help them to build connection outside of the person they've been with the longest. And that is where you're going to see a lot of stuff unfolding, because that's not easy.
Scott, putting this out there in the community, do you say that, hey, we're a throuple? How do you basically do this in letting other people understand what you're growing with?
It's so funny. Somebody to me the other day said, I'm so excited for your show, Couple to Trouble. And I thought, you know what? That's not the name of the show, but it's not a bad one. I think that everybody's gotta move in the way that feels good and feels right and feels true for them. There are a lot of people, I think, that when it comes to unorthodox relationship dynamics or structures, that they err on the side of privacy because of a lack of public information, a lack of well disseminated information. What we know more about our people's opinions and less about the research sometimes, about the reality sometimes, about the truth sometimes. And I think that a lot of people are in the situation where they want to protect themselves and their partners, but I think that, like you said, with the will and grace of it all, that did so much for the culture. It did so much for the experience of so many. We're hoping that the same thing happens, or a very similar thing happens with Couple to Throuple. That sure, there is this really fun, really dynamic, very bold destination dating show, but there also is a shift in our culture and how we talk about things, about a shift in our culture, about the things that we actually talk about. We're already seeing it with like so many articles and op-eds and books about what is polyamory and ethical non-monogamy versus consensual non-monogamy, and who slept with who. You know what I mean? So there are all these different stories and these different looks and aspects of what happens when you step outside of monogamy. And I think that Couple to Throuple is prime position to help lead the way in not necessarily even normalizing, but highlighting the reality of so many people in our country.
Wow. I'm so proud of the two of you for bringing this out. And more importantly, I'm proud of Peacock for really making this part of their platform. So, but you got to come back on season number 2. You've got to come back. I want to hear more of the stories. I want to hear what is going on and how we're all growing into this new vision.
You know what? I have to tell you, I am, and I know that Dr. Shamyra would agree. We are so pleased with your perspective on this. The fact that this is the frame that you were looking at a couple to throuple through. We could not be more proud, and it is, I think, a testament to how ready so many of us are to see something like this on television.
Yeah, I do. I'm appreciative of it, Arrow. It's really refreshing to hear your perspective.
Beautiful. Well, you guys be brilliant today, okay?
You do the very same.